Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. It means we're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Fired up you are with us. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Let's get things moving here. We got a lot to do over the next 2 hours. Mike Casaza from 24/7 Sports covers West Virginia. He'll join us in 15 minutes. That's usually Koki Riley's spot. We bumped Koki back to 2 o'clock today. I want to talk about Whit Weeks' conversation this morning with Jake and Matt on Off the Bench. It's What If Wednesday. Got a lot of those on Twitter. If you're just filed into the Bayou 4 chat, we'd love to hear from you for What If Wednesdays coming up at the bottom of this hour. So plenty to do. Lock us in. Let's get started the way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, I want to talk College World Series odds to start here. It feels like a nice time to settle in and do that. We've reacted to a crazy regional weekend, both in Baton Rouge and, of course, nationally. In the next segment, we're going to start talking about West Virginia, so we're going to move into that. But there are odds published for the College World Series. And before we even get into whether we shouldn't be talking about the first game that LSU plays in Omaha when they still got to win 2 games this weekend, I know. I was in the ballpark for Coastal. I was in the ballpark for Stony Brook. I've seen them lose to Houston. I got it. Like, I understand that there's a lot of work to be done before LSU wins a national championship with this team. I also understand that there are some issues on this team that are going to have to resolve themselves over the next 3 weeks if LSU is going to get there. But as I've said many times, in this market about that program, we're going to talk about championships. We're going to talk about things that we see in March and April that could prohibit them from winning a championship or enhance their chances, because that's the standard on Nicholson Drive at Alec Box Stadium. Like, your standard is get a national seed, get to Omaha, and go do some work. So that's what we're going to talk about, since that's the standard. And so the question is, are they the favorite? Well, if you look at sportsbetting.ag, we've got a story up at louisianasports.net right now that's got the odds. Yes, LSU is plus 350. They're 5-2 to win the national championship. That is the betting favorite. Arkansas is 4-1. Tennessee is 5-1. Those are the top 3. And then you got North Carolina at 7-1, Auburn and Oregon State at 10-1. I think this makes a lot of sense, and I'll tell you why. One of Arkansas and Tennessee is going home this weekend. I would call that a clean toss-up of a super regional. I think Tennessee is scary offensively and has the best pitcher in that series in Liam Doyle. I think Arkansas is scary at bomb. That lineup is great, and there's talent in that pitching staff. But only one of those teams is getting to Omaha. And then you've got LSU, who is a big favorite because of what they've done this year at the box. LSU has not lost a weekend at Alec Box Stadium this year. So those two supers are paired. And whoever wins that first game, should LSU get through West Virginia, and whoever comes out of Baum Stadium this weekend, that will either be Cade Anderson against Liam Doyle in Tennessee, or Cade Anderson against Zach Root from Arkansas. And the winner of that game, which I believe will be Saturday night in Omaha. There are 4 games in the opening round, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. In my opinion, LSU, should they get there, and Arkansas and Tennessee's winner will be the primetime Saturday night last game of the first 2 days. Same thing with LSU and Tennessee with Paul Skeens on the mound 2 years ago. So it'll be Saturday night. The winner of that game is, in my opinion, the favorite to win the College World Series if we got there. So I think that as far as taking bets, that makes a ton of sense. You look at the other side of LSU's bracket in Omaha. meaning not the other side of the bracket totally that you have to get to the championship series to see the other side of the bracket in Omaha because they're 2 4-team brackets, right? Well, what's left of that? It's UTSA, it's UCLA, it's Murray State, it's Duke. That's it. And none of those teams, which I believe all are quality baseball teams, are scary with Anthony Ianson on the mound. Do you feel good with Anthony Ianson against UTSA? Feel good with Anthony Ianson against UCLA? Feel good with Anthony Ianson against Murray State, Duke? I know all those teams scored nice wins over the weekend. UTSA went into Austin, didn't lose a game, beat Texas twice. Duke went to Athens, beat Georgia. Murray State had to hold on for dear life, but they got rid of Ole Miss in front of a great crowd at Swayze Field. Like, I'm not dismissing completely any of them. Do I think LSU with Anthony Ianson on the mound is better than all of them? Yeah, I do. Now, that first game's going to be tough. And LSU, when you get to Omaha, is going to have to use more pitchers than just Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson and Kason Evans. Like, you're going to have to do some things. Right now, I wouldn't feel super awesome chucking down 100 hard-earned bucks on LSU to win the College World Series at plus 350. I've got real concerns. I feel good about LSU this weekend without knowing a ton about West Virginia yet. We're going to talk to Mike Casazza in the next segment about West Virginia. And tonight, my assignment is I'm going to get shoulder deep in West Virginia baseball for Thursday and Friday's show. I'll know as much as I can know. I feel good about this weekend. Before I do that, the matchup with Arkansas and Tennessee is concerning, even with Cade Anderson on the mound, because Doyle's a freak show and Arkansas's lineup's very scary. I know that LSU's played those 2 teams. They've won 4 of 6 games. That's great. I like LSU's team. But I think that it's fair to handicap LSU, Arkansas, and Tennessee as the top 3. And I think it's fair that LSU's first because they don't have to play Arkansas or Tennessee, vice versa, this weekend. You look at the other side of the bracket completely, and that's where you start to get some of these odds. North Carolina is on the other side completely. Auburn's on the other side completely. Oregon State's on the other side completely. Florida State's on the other side completely. Coastal Carolina is on the other side completely. Then you get to LSU's side of the bracket with UCLA and Duke and UTSA and West Virginia. They're all the lower ones. So what Vegas is telling you, and I realize Vegas isn't necessarily handicapping the baseball teams as much as they're handicapping the betting market, and they know that LSU is massively public and Tennessee is massively public over the last 4 years, and Arkansas is going to be massively public, and UTSA and Arizona and Miami are not going to be that way. They're not going to take a huge handle on this anyway, but there's something to the fact that there are more people that if they're just at a window and there's stuff open or they're just pulling up a site, like more people are going to go, oh, LSU, they're probably really good. I might win on that. More people are going to do that than go, oh, how about Duke? Like that's not how people are going to think. So there are a lot of layers to this, but I think that for me, handicapping college baseball, paying attention to college baseball the way that I do, when I look at how this is breaking, and I told you this on Monday before they played Little Rock, it looks pretty favorable to me. It looks pretty favorable as far as the draw goes. I think West Virginia is good, not great. Again, I'm going to learn more about them tonight. I think you get to put your ace out there with whatever bullpen guys you want to throw against Tennessee and Arkansas in that first game in Omaha, whoever comes out of there. And then you've got some sort of combination of UTSA, UCLA, Murray State, or Duke in the second game. And you've got Anthony Ianson going. And LSU's going to be a big favorite in that game with any of those guys going. Duke doesn't have an ace. Murray State's low on pitching. UTSA looks good. Are they ready to go to Omaha, win 2 games in a row to start things? And UCLA, I'm a little down on the West Coast talent. I think a lot of it's flown over here to the Southeast. But anyway, like speaking of flying to the Southeast, Anthony Ianson, West Coast guy, flown to the Southeast. And we know that once you win those first 2 games, you've got a really good chance. Now, LSU has blown that whole thing up in 2017 and 2023 because they lost game 2 and then came out of the loser's bracket and won 3 straight in both instances to get to the championship series. So it can be done, but it's hard. So from a handicapping perspective, from a betting perspective, LSU's probably where they should be at the top of this thing. We know the warts on this LSU team. We know the concerns with the pitching staff beyond your two aces. We know the concerns that the offense can be a little bit inconsistent. We know the concerns, but everybody's got some concerns. Tennessee lost 6 of 7 series at the end. They lost a game this weekend to Wake. Arkansas had its bumps in the road, lost 3 series in a row. They've had some injury issues on the mound. But those are probably the teams that I think are the biggest threat. Now, North Carolina looked great over the weekend. You light up Kyson Witherspoon, I'm watching. And Auburn's played really good most of the season. I think Florida State's 1-2 punch, and it's on the other side of the bracket, is excellent. And if they could get to Omaha, I think there's a good chance they could get into the winner's bracket. But I like those 3 teams, and they're going to potentially match up unless West Virginia blows this thing up this weekend in the first game. And really, that's when you'll see the odds move. After that game is played, all of a sudden you're going to have you'll have a team that's minus probably to win the title after LSU, Arkansas, and Tennessee settle that first game on what I believe will be Saturday night in Omaha. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't know when they're going to play in Omaha, I'm comfortable, not confident, comfortable telling you that LSU, should they beat West Virginia twice, will play on Saturday night in Omaha. They could put them on Friday night. They're not putting them at Friday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I don't think they're putting them at Saturday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But if you've got Cade Anderson and Liam Doyle, LSU and Tennessee, the last 2 national champs, and the College World Series has a choice of who to put in the primetime slot, that's going to be it. So that's the way they did it with LSU and Tennessee 2 years ago, and I think that's what they'll do this year. We'll see, but we'll cross that bridge very gladly when we get to it. That's a look at the betting odds for LSU and the College World Series. That's our Genesis opening drive. When we come back, Mike Casazza is going to join us to talk some West Virginia baseball next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. You know, when I talk about renovations, remodels, you think about just a new expenditure to really jazz up an existing spot. But maybe it's necessary and not elective. Maybe your bathroom is aging, the shower's not functioning properly, sink's not functioning properly, there's mildew or mold, there's rusting, or you got to get new stuff. Don't just call the guy down the street that you're going to pay cash and just think, he'll figure it out. Get David Duvall and his team, who've been doing this for 30 years. They're licensed, bonded, insured to come in and do your bathroom renovation. You don't have to call anybody else. It's one phone call to one contractor. He handles it from start to finish. And I can promise you this, he's going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. Go check out their website. Get a free consultation. That part doesn't cost you anything. David will talk to you about the process and how to work through it, and you will be thrilled with the result in the end. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online, onebathandclosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Looking to put in the pool of your dreams? You can do it. Contact my friends at Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. LSU won the Baton Rouge Regional on Monday. West Virginia claimed the Clemson Regional over the weekend. They are headed to Baton Rouge for the Super Regional round. Winner headed to Omaha for the College World Series. Mike Casaza covers West Virginia for Ear Sports, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Mike, appreciate the time. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. It was a fun time of year.
It is absolutely a fun time of year. We're very much looking forward to the weekend. I was checking out y'all's site earlier today, and you wrote a story talking about the revenues and expenses for West Virginia and LSU. And obviously we understand LSU's got a pretty rich baseball tradition, but West Virginia's had a really good 3-year run here, and is obviously not some sort of mid-major program. So are you and the Mount fan base kind of looking at this as a little bit of a David versus Goliath here?
A little bit. It's a significant gap in those revenues and expenses. I knew it would be big. I was surprised that, like, for example, LSU's ticket revenue was larger than West Virginia's entire revenue. And that seems like a small thing, right? Big stadium, a lot of home games. You're coming off a national championship from the reporting year, so okay, that makes sense. But that's a lot of money for just one expense. And if West Virginia is charging for this and that and can't even get close to what LSU gets for just tickets, you kind of get a glimpse into, easy is not the right word, but how accessible dollars are for one program versus another. And it's been better for West Virginia in recent years than it was a long time ago or even a couple of years ago. But I think when you look at what powers winning teams now, it's money by and large, whether it's a transfer portal or this arms race and facilities. They're really playing catch up. Although I will say they have like a state-of-the-art biometrics performance center that they didn't pay a dime for. It's like a multi-million-dollar best in the country facility, and they got for free. So there's certain ways to spend without having to spend your own money.
They certainly had a wonderful first 10, 12 weeks of the regular season. We're in complete control of the Big 12, which they ended up winning, even though they limped to the finish line there. What was so good about West Virginia for the first 12 weeks of the regular season?
They just had this like devil-may-care attitude. First-year coach who's really popular, and I think they wanted to make it happen for him. And then I think, unlike a lot of teams that you see early in the season, that they'll mess around with their lineups. They'll give young kids starts on the mound or in the field, or they'll maybe do platoons or rotations. They, by and large, are the same 1 through 9 in the batting order, small deviations. Their starting rotation was the same for the first, 12 weekends of the year, which is kind of unheard of. And their midweek starters, they still had a plan. They would have an opener go 1 to 2 innings, maybe a pitch count, and they kind of followed in order after that. So they really hit a groove early, and they weren't changing anything along the way. So it was kind of a confluence of events, consistency, the production, and they didn't have to search for answers. All the answers were there, and they started. So that helps. But just to get what you're getting at here, they were 13-0 to start.
Yeah.
They don't play a home game until like late February, early March. So they're 13-0 on the road. That's a significant thing here. I don't know if everybody gets that. Northeast baseball, you don't get to practice very much. They don't have an indoor facility, or they didn't. And you're on the road against Southern teams, or you're at invitationals in the Carolinas or Georgia, either playing against the team or playing in a field with teams that have been outside and practicing for weeks and months at this point. And that's just a disadvantage for them that for multiple reasons they were able to overcome this year. And that's really why they were what they are at the end, because had the Big 12 season unfolded the way it did, still healthily over 500, but to be so far above 500 in non-conference play, that really made the record look good and kind of helped them in the RPI, which needed help because the strength of schedule wasn't great.
Sure, and they won a ton of baseball games until the last stretch where they lost 5 of 6 in the league. Was there something you could point to in the last 2 weekends of conference play that was a bit of a bugaboo?
Yeah, the 5-alarm fire in the bullpen.
Okay.
That was a problem. If you get out of their starting pitching, they have a real hard time bridging to the reliable pitchers, and it became such a problem that they were using the reliable pitchers probably too often. And if you just look at guys, you can look at this up yourself here: Carson Estridge, Reese Basinger, guys like that who pitch a lot for them. Well, when they pitch a lot, it just adds up, and they became, instead of outings, kind of high leverage situations. And everybody, even in the midweek games, was really trying to beat them. So you're facing the best of everybody, which I'm assuming in your neck of the woods, very accustomed to that. A new thing here, where every non-conference game is packed for a rival or because it's West Virginia. The home games were really crowded, kind of raucous events. So home or away, everything was kind of pressure-packed. And you squeeze a little harder and you throw a little harder and you just wear down a little bit. And some of their main guys, as they got up in innings and appearances, started to slow down for them a little bit. The pitches were flatter, they weren't as fast, and they were getting hit around, and just never had a guy that could answer it. And then, unfortunately for them, they just had some injuries that they haven't gotten all the way out of yet either.
We're chatting with Mike Casazza, who covers West Virginia for 24/7 Sports. The starting pitching has been a strength, and Griffin Kern has kind of been the front of that rotation. I can look at him on the stat sheet: 95 innings, 100 strikeouts, and an ERA just a hair over 3. But what can you tell me about Griffin Kern, the pitcher?
He's a classic lefty. A little bit weird when it comes to the rotation, the routine before pitches. You watch him, it's a lot of herky-jerky stuff and trying to make sure everything from the hips up is in the right spot, but it's the same every pitch. It just wears me out to watch it. I wonder what it's like to actually be the guy doing that. But he's a left-handed guy that will, run the ball, has some good heat. And, you can say what you want about stuff and spin rate, and velocity, and all that. He's really competitive. He's just a guy that came from Division II and thought he was better, and he was. And he went to the Cape back-to-back summers and didn't get a great run the first time and was mad about it, and then just took it upon himself to provide the resources for himself that you don't get in Division II. And he's going to pitching coaches and strength coaches and getting acupuncture. And then he goes to the Cape the second time and lights it up. And the West Virginia's like, we got something here. And they bring him in, they give him the ball on Fridays the entire season. He hasn't missed a start. He's gotten quality outings most of the time. A couple no decisions for bad luck because of the bullpen. And that happens sometimes to this team. But just what he means to them. He threw 118 pitches in the first game of the regional, and he came out and he closed the third game of the regional. That's one thing about arm strength, but that's also the value he is to the team, is that they were in trouble. How are they going to get 27 outs? And he said, I got 3 more for you, and he gave it to him.
That's impressive stuff, and certainly something you see at times in regional play. LSU used Anthony Ianson on Friday, and then he came back and finished the deal on Monday. After Kern, in the second game of this Super Regional, who would you expect to see West Virginia start?
That'll be Jack Cartzonis, who's an older guy who's had some arm troubles in the past at Kent State. And then, in fact, when he transferred here, they knew he needed arm surgery. Nothing major, not Tommy John or anything reconstructed, but they had to have his arm fixed because he was just pitching through major, major pain last season. So a bit of a risk, but they knew him from high school. He was pitching in Pittsburgh in high school, which is kind of a spot that has to be around for recruiting. And just got their eyes on him. And when they got him here, they had a plan. here's a guy who throws a hard sinker that runs and dips and gives people problems. So it's not going to be a ton of fatigue in his arm, but they ease him into things. And then right about the final third of Big 12 play, they made him a starter. And he was lights out. He ended up being second team all conference, just in a third of a Big 12 season. And he gives him innings. And again, just an older guy who has pitched a lot. And then, he got some midweek action at Kent State, which is oftentimes against your high major competition. So he's not new to this. Just seems like he's a guy who's kind of comfortable with this and who understands that as an older person. He's got to be cool and calm and on there on the mound. But when he's going, that sinker runs away, and you get some weird swings and a lot of ground balls on it. But he had a rough outing in the Big 12 tournament, and then bounced back and had 5.1 pretty strong innings against Clemson in the regional. Probably got the hook too fast because the bullpen kind of did him in, and I think they'll let him run as long as he can go on the second game.
Let's talk about offense. This West Virginia team, what would you say the identity is of the offense, and maybe a player or two that Tiger fans should be on the lookout for?
It's a little bit new. They put two new starters in against, in the regional, and they're both left-handed batters, and they face Kentucky's left-handed pitcher, Cleaver. So that was a bit of a risk. Now, one, they had no choice. Their ordinary first baseman's a lefty. The backup is a lefty, but the backup that they started was like 4 for 32 during the season. And he ends up getting 3 big hits in the final 2 games and driving in 5 runs. He actually put down a sacrifice bunt in the first game with a bat recoiled and hit him in the face. So he's kind of opened eyes and kind of proven himself to teammates in the postseason for what maybe he didn't do or have during the regular season. That's Ben Lumsden, kind of a power guy when he gets it, pretty good athlete, not a great fielder, but had some clutch 2-strike, 2-out hits. And then really the guy to watch for, I'm not just cherry-picking new players here, but the second new starter was Armani Guzman, who just didn't play this year for different reasons. They had an injury that kept him from playing the outfield and moving an outfielder to the DH. So their DH has been the same for like 27 straight games. And again, they don't mess their lineup very much, like I was saying, but Guzman came in and was the MVP in the regional, was 8 for 12, and that followed a 2 for 2 in the Big 12 tournament. And it was just kind of a gut hunch thing by the manager who saw him, getting good ABs and batting practice and their practices, and saw him messing around at shortstop and third base, which he played in high school, but he was a corner outfielder this year when he played. And they said, "Can you play third?" And he said, "Yeah." And they put him in there, and he played flawless third base and was their best player. And they think he's like a pro eventually, if not, before you know it. And then if they get going, the middle of their lineup can be tricky. Logan Saab is probably a pro prospect, a catcher. He'll probably get drafted this year if he goes. And he kind of tailed a little bit because their DH, who they've had to start at DH, is their backup catcher. So the DH has had 27 straight games as DH. That means their catcher's had 27 straight games as catcher, and that adds up late in the season. But he started swinging a good bat and has some pretty elite offensive ability when he gets going, and that seems to be back, and that's Logan Salve.
You mentioned a little bit earlier, and this is the last one. We appreciate a lot of your time. You mentioned about the environment and the pressure late in the season in the Big 12. How do you think this group will handle Alex Box Stadium over the weekend?
They were the home team for 2 of the games in the Clemson Regional. They were the visitor for the Clemson game. Have you seen the Clemson game on TV?
I have.
That bullpen is right next to the fans. Yep. It's not in the outfield. It's on the third baseline. It's obnoxious. And I think that was something that kind of got them maybe a little bit spooked at first, and their bullpen wasn't good in parts of that game. And you could say causation, correlation for sure there. But I think that, playing in front of like 9,100 people in a hostile territory there, that's a big deal. And they did okay there in those clutch situations. They came back in all 3 games. That said, nothing like Baton Rouge. They know that. I don't think they'll be stunned. I don't think they'll be intimidated. I don't think that they could possibly be ready for what they're going to get when they, first inning, first time the other team scores, the first time they're down 2 runs. But it's a pretty, I don't know, they've been through some rough stuff at the end of the year. I think they can kind of step back and be like, well, here we go again. We can make up a 4-0 deficit. We can have a 6-run inning. And maybe they can't do 6 runs against some of those pitchers, but they've been behind the 8 ball a couple times, and I think they're prepared to be outnumbered about 1,000 to 1 here. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they just moved the bullpens at Alex Box Stadium this year, and the visiting one is about 8 feet from the fans. So at least they got some
really?
experience.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, at least they got some experience at Clemson. It's the same deal right down the third baseline, and the fans are right up against where they warm up. So yeah, I think that was by design.
Question.
Yes.
Can you sell beer at the ballparks in the regionals? Because I know in NCAA championships events you can't. My observation on TV, there were some very festive people in the stands at Clemson. I don't know how they got that way. Maybe they arrived that way. Maybe they bought pops in the stands. I don't know.
I can answer that question. Yes, you can, and I can promise you. I don't know if West Virginia is going to win 2 games this weekend. 1, none. LSU win 2. I don't know. There will be plenty of people in a very festive mood with plenty of alcohol in the stadium this weekend. That much I can promise.
So that's how it should be, because the single game sales record for beer in the football stadium, and West Virginia was one of the first football stadiums to sell beer, was the LSU game with Tyrann Mathieu and kickoff return touchdown. So, yeah, this is made to be, right?
Yeah, 2011. I was there in the press box. So, yeah, I recall it very, very well. Mike, we appreciate some time. Enjoy the baseball this weekend. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
He's Mike Kazaza. He is with 24/7 Sports covering West Virginia. Yeah, look, again, I don't know what's going to happen this weekend as far as wins and losses, but I can promise you that ballpark's going to be on springs. So I'm very, very much looking forward to getting back there. I'll be honest, and I think a lot of you can probably relate with this. Maybe you can't, but a lot of you probably can. I was exhausted yesterday. After those 4 nights at the box, I was asleep in my bed at 9 o'clock. For reference, the 3-year-old goes down at about 8:40. I was down at 9 o'clock, and my wife had the light on and had the TV on, and I was asleep. So, I was just out of gas last night. But there'll be a lot of folks that are ready to roll come Saturday at 2 o'clock. So thanks to Mike for giving us a little bit of time. It's What If Wednesday coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Do business with a local company. Renaissance Homes and Pools. Joey Blanchard, been here for decades. I'm going to give you Joey's cell at the end of this read. So if you're thinking about a pool, get your phone out and get ready for the cell phone number. But Joey is incredible to work with because, one, he's the owner of the company. Two, he's going to be there every step of the way. He's got some incredible software. You sit down at the computer and you just get to designing that pool. If you've got a ton of ideas, throw them at Joey. He'll get them put right there in front of you. If you don't and you just like to talk about it and let him go off of experience and some of the great projects that they've done, and y'all can work together to get that done, you can do it. But it's not too late for this year to get started on getting that pool built. It's hot around here till Halloween. So call Joey and get that process started today. He's going to be with you start to finish, from the design to the digging to the installation to the finishing. It's all going to be there with Joey Blanchard at Renaissance Homes and Pools. Pools, outdoor kitchens, outdoor areas, they got you covered. Give Joey a call at 225-252-7745. That's 225-252-7745. Built by Renaissance.com. All right, let's play some What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, first one here. What if Paul Mainieri and the LSU Tigers won the national championship in 2021? Do him and Woodward reconsider Mainieri retiring, quote?
It's an interesting question. He announced, if I'm not mistaken, right before the postseason, right? It was right before the regional when they went up to Eugene, and then they won. And they went, and so if they don't, I don't think that they would have. He would have been like, "Oh no, we won. I'm back." I think he probably rides off into the sunset. Now you know now that there was still a fire there for him to. So, Coach, he just wasn't in a spot to do it, and that's an interesting question because they were playing pretty good there in the regional, and then they went and ran into a buzzsaw in Tennessee in the Super. But I think that once you say you're going to retire on June, just be hypothetical first, and then you come back 3 weeks later and like, just kidding, we won, I'm back. I don't think that would happen.
Yeah, in fact, I think it might have made it even easier for him to retire.
And I don't think he'd be in South Carolina if that happened.
No, I don't think so.
That's just my guess.
All right, next one here. What if Sam Dutton had stayed at LSU?
Interesting question, too. This is a thing that I'm kind of hung up on right now is I'm just disappointed that LSU has been unable to find a third starter really ever. And I'm fully aware that that's a rarity in college baseball to have a true third starter that always goes out there and takes the ball and gives you, 6 good innings, 5 good innings. Just teams don't generally have that. But LSU hasn't, and I feel like LSU should be able to get that. And Chase Shore's flops or, Thatcher Hurd can't get it done. It's just like It hurts. And I don't know if Sam Dutton would be the same pitcher today that he is in Auburn, in Baton Rouge. I don't know if he needed a fresh set of eyeballs, which Thompson's a great pitching coach. They may have done something different. Maybe he just got a longer leash in Auburn than he did at LSU, where he's obviously always pitching like one inning as an opener. I don't know, but if they had a 1-2-3 right now of Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson, and Sam Dutton, yeah, they'd be the favorite to win the national championship because he's pitching great, but it just didn't work as well here, and I'm not sure why.
All right, next one. What if we have LSU, that is, have a one-run lead going to the ninth on Saturday, and Anderson is well over 100 pitches? I guess let's just say he's coming out.
He's coming out of the game.
Because I could see a scenario where they keep letting him go after 100. But anyways, let's just say, for instance, that Anderson has to come out. Who gets the ball in the ninth?
I'm going to go off of Jay Johnson's answer to my question yesterday. I think Zach Callen gets the ball. And I think that there is reason for an LSU fan to think that's incredibly risky. I also think that Kason Evans pitched a lot of pitches on Monday. How does he feel on Saturday? That would be different for him. I'm not telling you who I would give the ball to. I'm telling you that I believe that Jay Johnson will give the ball to Zach Callen. That's how I perceived his answer yesterday. He said he could not have more confidence in him, and the outing wasn't exactly what they were looking for yesterday, and that's obviously 4 out of 5 that haven't been great. But I think that's what the answer is.
All right, next one. What if LSU had gotten to 20 SEC wins, and now look at the pairing that they would have in the Supers, like Arkansas having to play Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible they could have jumped Arkansas there. I'll tell you how the team sheets work, and that's they get sheets on every team. I don't know if it's a hard copy, if it's just something on their TV screen or whatever, or computer screen, but the selection committee gets a sheet for every team. And the conference record absolutely, without caveat, includes what you do in the conference tournament. That is literally on your sheet. So LSU's conference record this year in the conference play was 19-11, and they went 1-1. So when the committee got their sheet, LSU was 20-12 in league play. So maybe they go up a tick on Arkansas. Maybe the RPI is a little bit better. But Arkansas's metrics were stronger than LSU's, and across the board, except for the head-to-head. So, yeah, I'd rather play West Virginia than Tennessee. I can promise you that. Would I rather play Tennessee at home as opposed to playing them in Omaha? Maybe we'll have that different discussion. But for this weekend, LSU, it worked out because I don't think West Virginia is great, not knowing as much as I'm going to know tonight when I really do a lot of research.
Alrighty, next one. What if LSU had decided to pitch off against Little Rock on Friday, like many fans wanted them to do?
Well, it starts with who do you pitch, and if you say it's Jaden Newt, well, he went out there against Little Rock and got knocked around, couldn't throw as many strikes, and then you went to the bullpen there, and you didn't have a lot of guys that did the job. Shores didn't look good, and you all of a sudden got behind the 8 ball and you got crushed. So, LSU scored 7 runs on Friday. Would that have been enough? I don't know. It's a great what if. It's a really reasonable question. My gut tells me they probably find a way to get it done, but it probably includes, Kason Evans pitching in that game, and maybe they get it over more quickly that way because you go with Anderson and Ianson. I think you would win those 2 games the next 2 days. It's a very reasonable question. The interesting thing is on Thursday when we were talking about who they should pitch, you didn't consider that you would be playing Little Rock on Sunday and Monday. That would never have crossed my mind that a team that had that bad a record would be the team you're playing in the regional final. I would have said you were playing DBU on Saturday or Sunday, or potentially Rhode Island, but I would have said DBU. And maybe that looks a little bit different. I don't know. It's a fair question. And the point of the matter is that really what matters is LSU's got to find some people to step up when Anderson and Ianson aren't pitching, whether that's in Friday of the regional, Monday of the regional, Monday of a super, and this weekend. Like, somebody else has got to step up. Kason Evans did it on Monday, thankfully, but I don't have a rock solid answer for you on what would have happened. It would have been more dicey than Friday ended up being.
Yeah.
And I still contend, I think this is a reasonable take, that when you throw Ianson for 7 2/3 and Anderson for 7 or whatever it was, maybe it was transposed, either way, and they set you up going to Sunday night where everyone else is available, like, you need to be able to get the torch home from that point. And I think that's the case every year.
It is, yeah. You always, every single year, when you make it this far and you're playing in these series of extra games where you're going to be going into more than 2 or 3 games usually, you always have to have somebody that you just, hasn't really. Somebody has to do something they haven't done all year. We've seen it every single time LSU makes it to Omaha, makes it this far. There's always going to have to be somebody that steps up, and this Casey Evans did it this time. So we'll see who does it. Maybe in the Supers or of course Omaha. You're absolutely going to need guys to step up. So
no question. All right, that's it for What If Wednesday. When we come back, I'm going to give you a segment. It's only going to be about 5 minutes, but it has nothing to do with this coming weekend. It has everything to do with what's coming in 51 weeks from now, 52 weeks from now. So if you can retain that information for an entire year, it'll be worthwhile. If you can't, well, I'll have to do it again next year. But that's the plan for the end of this hour. We'll do it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Every single new Genesis purchase, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 10 years. It's a long time to have a car under warranty. How about 3 years of complimentary maintenance? Valet complimentary maintenance. These are part of the perks of driving a Genesis. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. When I say luxury, don't automatically start looking at different brands in your head and going, well, I can never drive that. Try. Check them out online, GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Go see them, airline at PQ. Talk to them. Look at the fine vehicles they've got in that inventory and look at the price tag. It may surprise you. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Stop by airline at PQ or visit them online, GenesisofBatonRouge.com, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wildin'.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
So you do this long enough, which I have not done it long enough, but I'm acquiring years as they go by, and I'm realizing that the calendar often looks very similar, and we talk about this at this time of year, and this at this time of year, and this at this time of year, and I'm starting, and I feel like I remember a lot of the things that I say, not everything, but a lot of things that I say, and one of the things that I'm going to carry with me moving forward, and I'm going to be pretty adamant about, is that when we get to SEC tournament week in baseball, it's a time of year where everyone's is not on pins and needles, that's wrong, but they're very attentive as to what's going on because you're about to play for keeps. You're not in Hoover, but you're about to. So everybody wants to be very reactionary, and that's natural because it's that time of year and you know that the NCAA tournament's coming. And I will say this for sure. You can very much help your resume in Hoover. LSU played their way to a 2 seed in Hoover last year when they were 13 and 17 in the league because they played all the way to the weekend. This year, Bama losing knocked them out of a host, and Ole Miss and Tennessee played their way into hosts. Ole Miss almost played their way up to a top 8. Vanderbilt got the number 1 overall seed because they went and won the tournament. Like, absolutely, you can help yourself resume-wise in Hoover. No question. It's a big week for that. What I do not think you can do, and I'm going to be adamant about this, you cannot draw a straight line from how you played in Hoover to how you're going to play in the regional the next week. LSU was awesome in Hoover last year. And they went and had to get a walk-off home run to beat Wofford's number 2 pitcher. This year, Vanderbilt was just blitzed the field, won the tournament, bounced out of their own tournament, lost to Wright State. Ole Miss, awesome in the SEC tournament, got all the way to Sunday, came out, bounced in their regional, lost to Murray State twice. And you look at how LSU's bullpen performed in Hoover and how those guys pitched against Ole Miss. It was awesome. Came out the next week, bad against Little Rock. And in the same way, in 2024, Tennessee blitzed the SEC tournament field and came out and won the national championship. Sure, can happen. But the year before that, LSU was bad in Hoover and came out and won the national championship. They played great in the regional, great in the super. We know that Ole Miss and Mississippi State were awful in Hoover, went and won the national championship. Like, how you play in Hoover does not impact how you play in the regional. So I'm not going to sit here and ever panic if some pitcher gets knocked around in Hoover or somebody strikes out a few times in Hoover. Like, it's a completely different ballgame the next day. That tournament is 2 things. It's a resume booster, and it's fun to watch as a fan because they start playing baseball at 9 o'clock in the morning. Like, that's it. So if LSU is sitting there with a lot to do, yeah, you better lock in. You better win some games. In the seasons where LSU runs through the SEC and is 21-9 or 20-10 or is 3rd in the RPI when they get to Hoover and has 19 league wins, including 2 series wins over top 5 RPI teams. I'm throwing out hypotheticals, but if you get to Hoover and your time there is you're locked in as a top 8 like they were in 23 when they'd gone 19-10 in league play. They had not played a game in South Carolina, so they only had 19 league games, but they were locked in as a top 8. I don't care they played like garbage. Tommy White didn't play. Skeens got pulled early, got hit around, whatever. 2010 LSU team, the year after the national championship, they went and won the tournament. Went out to L.A., faced Trevor Bauer in the second game. They need a walk-off to beat Irvine from Trey Watkins. So, like, that's something it's going to stick with me. I'll remember all of this next year when it comes to this time of year. And somebody will, go 0 for 8 with 4 strikeouts in Hoover, and everybody says, well, this guy's terrible. Like, or this team's not going to do anything. I don't care how you play in Hoover as long as you don't need resume points. And it's borne out not just this year. It's not just Vanderbilt this year, not just Ole Miss this year. It's every year. Some teams are going to play good in Hoover and show up in the NCAA tournament and stink. Some teams are going to be great in Hoover, show up and forget how to hit. Vanderbilt couldn't hit Wright State. They were getting no hit by Wright State 5 days after they had wrecked the Southeastern Conference in Hoover for 4 days. They were getting no hit until they took their pitcher out. So that's something that's going to stick with me. Maybe it'll stick with you for 51 weeks. Maybe it won't, and I'll have to come back and redo this on Monday of next year before the tournament starts. I love the SEC tournament. I love Tuesday morning at 9:30 when they start playing baseball. I love it. Doesn't matter. It just doesn't. Resume boost. Good TV show. Tell you what will matter, the Super Regional. That's coming up on Saturday. Koki Riley will be there. We'll talk with him when we come back after Sports Center, a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is SportsCenter. I'm Christine Lisi. One NBA head coaching vacancy has been filled. The Suns hiring Jordan Ott, one of the Cavaliers' top assistants, as their new head coach, reports ESPN's Shams Charania. This one day after the Knicks surprisingly fired coach Tom Thibodeau, New York's likely targeting a couple of familiar names in its search for his successor, explains ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst.
You start with Mike Brown in Sacramento, last year's coach of the year. Has a long history and had a lot of success in the league across over 2 decades. You have Taylor Jenkins, who was the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, very successful there. And then you have Michael Malone from the Denver Nuggets, who was a championship coach.
Puck drops tonight in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final for the defending champion Panthers and Oilers. The teams located 2,541 miles apart, furthest travel distance between two teams in a Cup Final. The Penguins hired former Rangers assistant Dan Muse as their new head coach. Lightning forward Nikita Kucherov named the winner of the Ted Lindsay Award. It is presented to the most outstanding player in the NHL as voted by his peers in the Players Association.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up on Thursday, everyone will focus on SGA versus Halliburton, but I'll tell you why this series will be defined by the role players. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Talk some football, Saints OTAs, as well as LSU linebacker play. Whit Weeks was the guys on Off the Bench this morning. We'll do all that moving forward. I was putting the show together today and wanted to see if I could find someone to talk West Virginia baseball with me. And we're lucky to find Mike Casazza, who did a great job with us. Said, yeah, the only time I can make work there is probably 1:15. Okay, I got Koki at 1:15. He's penciled in there. That's his standing time. But if there's anybody that can handle an hour delay, it's probably the LSU beat writer who does like triple that every weekend. So Koki was good enough. He waited 45 minutes. There's a delay. He's used to doing it. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. It's easy as that, right, Koki?
Yeah, just easy as that, you know.
We appreciate some time. Look, it was a long weekend at the box for sure, but LSU was able to get it done. Was there one aspect of the weekend that stood out either in a positive or negative light to you?
That just stood out in general, like
a big storyline for you. It could be that those two pitchers are awesome at the front. It could be that their bullpen faltered. It could be the offense was good, not good. Was there anything that was specifically that was a bigger storyline over those 4 days?
I think it's just the realization of how high the ceiling and how low the floor is with this bullpen. Right, when they're at their best and they're throwing strikes, they're giving up 2 runs and against a good Ole Miss team at the SEC tournament, right? When they're not at their best, they're walking the park and giving up and losing 13-3 in Northwestern State or 10-4 to Little Rock, right? So I just feel like the lack of command and the lack of control with these guys. Even if they have all the talent in the world and enough talent to win games in Omaha with, it's risky. It's just you don't know what you're going to get on any given day, and that's the case with 4 or 5, maybe even 6 guys toward the top of this bullpen, and it's kind of impossible to know what you're going to get on any given day. And granted, like usually you don't get what happened on Sunday where you get 3 guys at the same time, where it just really falls apart for all of them. Usually it's just 1 or maybe 2. But once you get to 3 or 4 guys, that's when you're kind of leaving yourself up to lose to almost anybody. And I think that's kind of what we saw, especially from a pitching standpoint. That was the thing that kind of stood out to me the most over the weekend.
I don't disagree with that at all. What I found interesting is that Chase Shores was up and warming on Monday. And I had Jay Johnson on yesterday, and he said his confidence in Zach Allen is as high as ever. Now, he's going to talk publicly that way, but how do you feel the staff's confidence is in those two guys specifically, in Shores and Cowan?
They also, here's the thing, like I won't say they don't have a choice because they do have other guys, but they need those two guys in particular to pitch at their best. So of course Johnson's going to say that he's confident in them and he's going to use them. Whether they actually perform is a whole other question. And with Zach, it's kind of a mystery because again his command was so consistently good, and even when he got hit around a bit, like against Texas A&M or had some of these weaker performances, like he was still throwing strikes, he was just getting hit hard, and it seemed like more of a pitch mix problem than anything else. And I think you kind of saw some of those adjustments in the first inning, but then after that, like we get a walk, we get a hit by pitch, all of a sudden guys are on base, all of a sudden Angel Sosa's at the plate, and he turned into Babe Ruth over the weekend, so it didn't matter who the heck was throwing to him, he was going to hit the ball. Things just really spiraled in a way that, in a fashion that was kind of surprising for him in particular. And as for Chase, like it felt like his command had improved since he made some of those mechanical adjustments, and the stuff has improved as well. He's hitting 100 miles per hour more consistently. I mean, part of that's because he can throw shorter innings, but he's throwing out of the stretch. He's a little bit more closed off. And then yet the command aspect of it has still been a little bit shaky, not quite as shaky as it was when he was a starter. But like it's hard to sort of totally explain why for a couple of batters he looks unhittable, and then the very next inning it really, really goes sideways on him. So I think they have to trust those guys and hope that they can be the pitchers that they've shown at times and can be. And because if they don't, then they have other options, but those guys are also can be hit and miss. So that's just the reality of the situation they're in right now.
I'm with you every step of the way. So let's play hypotheticals. Anderson gives way, and LSU's up 4-2, and he goes 7 1/3. You've got 5 outs to go. Where do you think they turn on Saturday?
That's a good question. I think they might go matchup ball a little bit. If the lefty's up, then I could really see the possibility of Cooper Williams or even DJ Primo coming into the game. But if it's a righty and they got and it's majority righty the rest of the way, it's probably going to be one of those two guys that you said. It's probably going to be Cowan or Shores, if I had to guess. I think Myers' command is just there's a longer history of it not being very good, which is why I think they would only put him in a situation where they're up 5 or down 5, which is still important to some degree, right? Like I don't want to like totally poo-poo that, but I think that would just be the situation there. And I mean, maybe they could go to Jade Newt, but they seem to like Newt more as a starter towards the beginning of the game anyway. Maybe it's Rizzi, but it doesn't look like they have that level of trust in Rizzi. They haven't put him in that many situations where it's do or die. You're only up by 2 runs. And so like, this is a good, I like this question because it kind of, you kind of go through the options and you're like, well, you kind of land on Cowan or Shores again. Right. So I think that's just what they're going to do. Barring a major, a real change from what they've done the last couple of weeks.
Let's see if we can throw another good one at you here. What was the biggest development over the weekend? Curiel swinging the bat the way he did, Milam swinging the bat the way he did, or the one home run that Jones hit on Monday? Which of those 3 do you think is the most encouraging?
For me, it's probably Milam because he's finally hitting the ball hard again. And he's a guy who just doesn't really swing and miss a lot, so I don't think that was really the main issue. But it was just a lot of weak contact, a lot of getting underneath the ball, a lot of swinging at pitches that were going to be tough to drive in general. And his swing just hasn't looked quite as, I don't want to say fluid, but it just hasn't seemed as, I don't know. There's just like a lack of, it just felt like he could hit any pitch hard last season. And that just hasn't been the case this year. Maybe because he's selling out for a little bit more power. Like that's an idea that's been floated around, but I I really think he just looked way better this weekend. And that wasn't just against Little Rock's pitching. That was also against DBU. And I feel like he just looked better and more comfortable at the plate. And he was hitting the ball harder, more consistently. I know he went 0 for 5 in the last game, but he hit a couple balls right in the screws. And that's what you want to see from him. Him just hitting the ball hard consistently, a couple balls get out. He hits a bunch of doubles. Like that's the Steven Milam you want to see offensively. I know he has a very big load defensively this year, which might have to play a part in this, but again, he's just looked night and day better offensively.
Yeah, he hit it really hard twice on Monday. Had nothing to show for it, for sure. I know that you just wrote a piece up at The Advocate talking about West Virginia, kind of previewing the Mountaineers as they come in for the Super. Anything stand out in your research?
Their defense is not very good. You probably said this on your show already, but I mean, the Tigers have 38 errors this year. LSU has 38 errors, which is a pretty good low number. But West Virginia is at 65. That's like kind of night and day from a defensive standpoint. And like West Virginia, unlike most teams, West Virginia doesn't have a ton of pitching depth. They don't have a very physical offense, but they have a deep offense with a lot of good contact hitters. They only have one guy who has 10 or more homers on their team. Like they're not going to really run into too many home runs this weekend. And as I say that, they're probably going to hit like 5. So, but that's kind of my takeaways with like what this team looks like. But in terms of like the big thing to look out for, like it's the defense to me. And I got West Virginia had 9 errors this past week at the Clemson Regional. It's kind of a miracle that they won all 3 games despite averaging 3 errors per game. So I just really feel like if LSU can hit the ball hard, get the starters out of the game early, they're going to have success in offense. And I know that sounds kind of pretty simple, but that really sort of plays into the weaknesses of this West Virginia team. And then on the flip side, it's just going to be runner control and can LSU starters, can LSU pitching rack up the strikeouts the way they have this season against a very good contact hitting team. So those are kind of the 2 keys on both sides of the ball for LSU this weekend.
I know LSU didn't play Vanderbilt this year, did not play Florida this year, did not play Georgia this year, didn't play Ole Miss this year. So a lot of the teams that were knocked out early were not teams that LSU played. But you watched a lot of SEC baseball this year. Are you surprised at how much the league struggled over the weekend?
Yeah, you have to be, right? Given how dominant this league is, given all the things we've talked about around the reasons of why this league has become so dominant, the resources, the transfer portal, the shrinking of the minor leagues, all this stuff Jay Johnson talks about a million times as to why the league has gotten stronger. I mean, he's right. Like, all these reasons are why, 13 teams make the NCAA tournament and why every metric and every ranking has, loads and loads of SEC players. So when they're going up against, no offense to Little Rock, a team like Little Rock, you don't even expect it to be a fair fight. And the disparity is even more than the disparity we see in like college football, at least in my opinion. So it is very surprising to see this many teams struggle. I mean, maybe part of it's just the correction from last season where we got a lot of chalk last year in the tournament. I mean, it was 4 SEC teams, 4 ACC teams. We're not even going to get 4 SEC teams in this year. We might not even get more than 2. So it's really interesting to see the way things have shifted, and honestly, it's very unpredictable. Even though I will say the teams that went down, you could have at least made a case as to how they would go down, right? Like Texas wasn't the most talented team this year, even though they were very successful in SEC play. Vanderbilt is a deep squad, had a very good regular season, but again, like you wouldn't put them in the top 4 or 5 teams in terms of talent in the league. Georgia had its flaws all year. Ole Miss was a team that probably slightly overachieved in terms of what we thought they would be doing this year. So, I mean, I guess those teams in particular, and Florida had so many injuries, and they were actually in a pretty tough regional, so that didn't really surprise me that much. So I feel like, but even you can even point to a team like Tennessee and Arkansas. One of those teams isn't going to make it. which is really surprising given how we looked at those teams at the very beginning of the year. So you're absolutely right. It is surprising how many SEC teams have fallen, and because of just, again, the way college baseball works today.
Does LSU win 2 or 3 this weekend?
I think so. I mean, at least they should, right? Like, they have almost every advantage you want on paper. They're at home at the Box. It's hard to beat this team at the Box. This team in particular is very well set up to win a super regional, especially winning it early because of their top 2 starters. They have probably the best 1-2 combination in the country. That's something that every team craves, and they have. And can they just, string enough good at-bats together, get a couple big hits, and then can the bullpen, be on its good side and not on its bad side, right? Like, if those things happen, they're going to win easily. But if those things don't happen, or a couple of those things don't happen, they could definitely lose. So I know that's a very simple analysis, but that's just kind of how this team has rolled so far this year. And they've gotten as good of a draw as you could have possibly asked for heading into this super regional. It's just a matter of playing up to their potential. And they've just been too inconsistent with that so far this postseason to be super duper confident in them winning the super regional.
Great work so far, Koki. We'll see you at the Box on Saturday, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Hon.
Koki Riley with The Advocate, been following LSU baseball all year long, giving us time on Wednesdays, and we'll see him at the Box, 2 o'clock first pitch on Saturday. All right, when we come back, great piece up right now at LouisianaSports.net from Ross Jackson. A little bit of food for thought for the Saints as they wind down OTAs. I'll talk about it coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
All right, chugging along here. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Contact my guy, Joey Blanchard, 225-252-7745. That's where you get him directly. That's his cell phone. Local Baton Rouge guy. He has installed pools for dozens and dozens and dozens of people in the Baton Rouge area, and you can be next. You've always thought about the dream of owning a pool, whether it's for your kids, maybe you've got grandkids now and you want to have a reason for them to come over to the house, or maybe you just want a place to enjoy a cocktail or some sunlight right now by yourself. Either way, if you want to put a pool into your backyard, no matter what that project looks like, big pool, small cocktail pool, outdoor kitchen, Renaissance Homes and Pools can help you with that. Reach out to Joey directly at 225-252-7745. He'll be there for the start to finish. He'll be there for the design. He'll be there for the digging. He'll probably grab some of the equipment and do some digging himself if somebody's taking a lunch break. That's how involved Joey Blanchard is. If you want to know that you're working with someone who's going to be accountable for every step of the process, Renaissance Homes and Pools is where you need to start with my guy, Joey Blanchard. The Saints are wrapping up OTAs. The last media session for OTAs is Thursday. Mandatory minicamp comes up next week, and fans will be allowed to go check that out, and there will be more storylines that go into that as we now really approach the summer, and like training camp's not that far away. And Ross Jackson's been doing an awesome job covering OTAs for LouisianaSports.net, also Locked On Saints, and he's got a piece up right now at LouisianaSports.net, kind of what to look for in the final day of media practice with OTAs. And it starts with Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shook, which you would imagine it would, right? And that's going to be the biggest storyline and the juiciest storyline. And we're all very well aware that nobody's winning the starting quarterback job in OTAs, right? But that battle matters every day. And it feels like there's an interesting dichotomy between Rattler, who by all accounts has been a little bit more consistent, been a little bit steadier, and then Shook, who's been a little bit flashier, but also is a bigger investment for the organization. So there's like a push and pull there between those two guys and kind of where they are. And their performance over the next couple of weeks does matter. What happens in training camp matters more, but it does matter what they do, and that's certainly something that we'll keep an eye on tomorrow. I think this is really fascinating just because I'm ready. I'm ready to see Quincy Riley on the field. He hasn't been able to participate in the offseason yet, but that's a guy that I believe the Saints want to help them in the secondary this year. We spoke to Sharif Ishak about it yesterday, and I'm with him. Like, that's a guy that you took in the middle rounds that you feel like can help. And the biggest thing in training camp, in preseason games, and early in the season into later part of the season is going to be what the Saints can get out of this draft class. That, of course, starts with Shook. But it's not just Shook. It is the guys like Quincy Riley who you've taken pretty early. Like, yeah, we're going to have all eyes on left tackle at Kelvin Banks. Like, that's a big freaking deal to have your top 10 pick be a star. And you move Fuaga and you feel good about that. But, like, it's not just that. Because the Saints have hit on some first-round picks. But there have been some times where the later rounds, they've just completely whiffed. And if in the salary cap situation you're in right now, in the roster situation you're in right now, with the contracts you've got and the ages of those players and their declining production, if you do not hit on mid-round picks in this draft and the next draft and the next draft, you are not going to dig out of this hole. And Quincy Riley is not going to prove to me on Thursday or next Wednesday that he's a Pro Bowler. But I would like him to get out on the field and compete. Because Tyron's not going to be there forever. And Jordan Howden hadn't done a lot. And you've got this guy that a lot of folks think was a good pick that just hasn't quite gotten out there. And I'm not saying, like, rush him to the field. Like, this is not a situation like the Saints felt about Kendre Miller. He won't practice and he gets hurt. Like, this, we're way, way, way short of that. But I would like to see him out there. I would like to see him practice. And I would like to see where he lines up. Is he taking reps behind Tyron? Is he taking reps behind Reed? Is he potentially coming up and playing closer to the line of scrimmage? How does that work with Kool-Aid and Lante Taylor? Like, there are some pieces to that puzzle that I'd like to see moved around a little bit. And as long as you're not out there, well, I can't learn. And then you've got the storyline that continues all the way through the regular season, really. But Ross writes about new players. Like, they formally announced Derek Carr's retirement on Tuesday. That opens a roster spot. Ryan Ramchik's retirement is coming up. That should happen within probably the next 48 hours. So are the Saints going to add? Are they going to add on the defensive line? They brought in Jonathan Bullard. He's got connections with Brandon Staley, we know. Does he come in? I think that makes a lot of sense. You do have a little bit of cash laying around to add some guys that potentially could help. I would prefer that those guys be closer to 25, 26 than the Brandon Cooks ad. I want guys that you might be able to get something out of for multiple years instead of just the one, because I've talked about this a lot. I don't have huge, high, massive expectations for the Saints in this year. But, like, who can they bring in? What new face might show up? And is there something in that player's career that suggests that he could be, I use air quotes, long-term? Long-term, 3 years. Like, can somebody show up that can help for potentially three years? That's the track for Justin Reed. Certainly not for Tyrann Mathieu. But I think all that is interesting. It's OTAs are for the diehards. They're for the guys who are in the foxhole, for the ladies who are in the foxhole 365. You got to dig to find something to care about in OTAs. But I am, interestingly enough, like, I'm energized a little bit by the restart of the Saints. I'm energized by it. I think the end of the Derek Carr and Dennis Allen era is boring. It's lifeless. There's nothing to cling to. Hope is fleeting, and it's not concrete, but man, can it pump some life into you. And I'm ready to start looking at this optimistically as to what young players could help, as opposed to running out the string with this previous core of players. So I'd like to see some guys on the field, rookies that they've just drafted, guys that they might bring in to take a look at. That's the fascinating part to me, and we'll be locked in. We'll talk to Luke tomorrow. We'll talk Saints with Sharif and Luke, and we'll do some more next week when they get into mandatory minicamp, which is where you'll really see the team in its full form at this point in the calendar. But there's some stuff to cling to, and Ross Jackson will certainly be all over it at LouisianaSports.net. We'll be all over it daily here talking Saints. You're looking for my Saints content, Hunt on Saints is where you can find it. Just search on YouTube. You'll be able to subscribe to the channel, and you'll get that into your feed every single day. That's a look at the Saints here on this Wednesday. We'll step aside. When we come back, we will talk some LSU football. Whit Weeks was on with Matt and Jake this morning, said something very interesting. I liked it. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Genesis is a luxury brand at a reasonable price. That's the model that Genesis has put forward, and it's awesome. because the line of vehicles from the entry level all the way to the highest end, from the sedan all the way to the SUV, is phenomenal to drive. If you've never gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis, which it's a reasonable chance you haven't, just go by and see them. Chat with one of their brand ambassadors. You're not going to feel pressured. You're not going to feel upsold or taken advantage of. It's going to be a comfortable experience. You're going to be treated like a guest, and you'll see the difference when you get behind the wheel. It's stylish, it's comfortable, reasonable price, luxury vehicle, and it's one of the safest cars on the road. If you're on Airline Highway looking for a vehicle, just make one more stop. PQ, across from Women's Hospital. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you on in there. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, and you can find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Dropped my phone. It's very disappointing.
It was very loud.
It was. It fell from the desk down, which is 3 feet. I don't need it for this segment, but it's just disappointing. I have a bit of a phone addiction. I need it at the ready all the time.
You and many millions of others.
My wife's not a big fan. You know what really grinds my wife's gears? Whenever she walks into the living room and I'm staring at my phone, and Myers, who's 3, is staring at his tablet watching Spidey, and we're like 2 feet from each other, and we're both just staring at screens. Not her favorite part of the day. That gets at the low end, that gets an eye roll. at the high end, it goes, "What are y'all doing? Put him away."
Good. She should be saying that to you, Hunt.
I got to look at Twitter. The kid's watching Spidey. I got to see what's going on the internet.
Yeah.
Should we talk about football now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. Let's go. Whit Weeks was with the guys this morning. Jake and Flynn are getting some incredible guests on Off the Bench. They're off to a great start this week in their first week as a full-time duo, and they had Whit Weeks come on today at 9:30. You can check that interview out on demand on YouTube, wherever you find your sound. And I thought there were some really interesting pieces of the interview. Obviously, Whit Weeks had a phenomenal season last year. And I wrote this over in a story at LouisianaSports.net that spurred from the interview. But Weeks last year finished the season with 125 tackles. Only 7 players in the history of the school have made more tackles than that in a single season. So it was a great year, and it obviously ended in a very, very scary injury where he got rolled up on. And you saw it, and the cart comes out in the freaking Texas Bowl, and you're like, this is awful. But relative to what we watched, like the optics of the injury, and they ran the slow-mo replay, and most of you probably watched it, it looked atrocious. But you've got a broken leg and a dislocated ankle. And in the grand scheme of things, like I don't want either one of those things. But that's better than ripping your knee up. And so had the surgery, and he sat out the spring, and he told the guys that he's about 95%. He's fully cleared for all football activities. They started running this week. They have some player-led practices this week, and he's cleared to do everything, which is awesome. Blake Baker said that last week with Jake, and Whit Weeks echoed it. But the thing that I took away from the interview that he did this morning was what he took from watching spring ball. Because we went out there for the spring, and you're watching LSU's defense, and you're looking at new guys. You're looking at Jack Pyburn and Patrick Payton out there. Jamari Butler's out there. There's Jakeem Jackson. Mansour Delane's back there. Like, they got a lot of new faces on that defense, and there are 2 guys that are missing. And Whit Weeks was there every single day, but he wasn't practicing, and he liked what he saw. And this is what he told Matt Flynn and Jacob Hesker today on Off the Bench.
I mean, I think our defense is going to be special this year. I mean, the dudes that we brought in on the transfer portal, they're all dogs. And, you know, getting to step back and watch from the sidelines this spring, I think that our defense this spring was better than we were last season. And you're missing me and Harold out there. So it's a promising sight to see.
That is a promising sight to see. And, like, I want to be clear. I don't think Whit Weeks is going to go. First of all, he's like the happiest dude ever, and he's gregarious and joyous like all the time. But he's not going to go on Off the Bench and go, man, I was watching this spring, and like these dudes that we brought in, they are trash. And I think our defense is going to get smoked this year. Like, okay, he's not going to say that, right? But I also think that there's probably some real truth where that statement was rooted from. And I think that the excitement level that some of these guys have on defense about the additions that have come in. Like, you hear it in Whit Weeks' voice there. I talked to Gabe Relaford in the spring in an interview session, and he was like, man, they brought in like a lot of guys in my position, but like I talked to Coach Peoples, I talked to Coach Baker, and like we're going to play fresh, and we're going to have competition, and like we're going to be better for it. And I think that everyone's buying into that notion right now, and I think there is a quiet confidence on that defense right now that is encouraging. Now, once again, let me step back and add this caveat because I'm going to play this thing straight for you. Like, I tell you about the confidence cycle in a college football calendar every year, and you are about 2 ticks from max excitement, max positivity. That comes in mid-August. No matter what happens in the season, you've got that deal in January where you hire the new defensive coordinator, or you get some transfers, or the quarterback decides to come back, or whatever the case may be. Then you sign the new high school class, and then in spring practice, the results and the reports are always very positive, and you frame things out of positivity with the spring game, and then the spring coach comes on, or the players do a radio interview, and everybody's in the best shape they've ever been in, and you haven't lost a game now, and everybody's in great shape, and morale's better. Like, that is what kind of the time of year we're in. I got it. But there have been a lot of changes to the LSU defense, and they're not changes that have a very low floor. Like Patrick Payton is a good college football player. He's proven it for 3 years. Jack Pyburn is an absolute dog against the run. He did it in the SEC wearing a blue shirt. Like, the guys they've brought in are pretty high-level dudes. And then you pair them with guys like Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins, who have been insanely productive players. Weeks with his 125 tackles. And you can say what you want about Perkins and that he's not going to be the second pick in the draft and not going to win the Bednarik Award. But he's a terror when he's out there in the right spot. And when you look at that defense in the spring and you see the attitude, you see the additions they've brought in, you see Blake Baker there for the second year now, and you hear Whit Weeks say, like, I'm looking at these guys, and me and Harold aren't out there, and they're playing really well. And the guys they're playing against are like Garrett Nussmeier and Aaron Anderson and Berrien Brown and Caden Durham. These are guys that are proven commodities in the SEC. The offensive line is not across the board, but the skill guys are. And if LSU's having some success against that group of skill guys in a controlled practice in the spring, like, that is a positive sign. I am not here telling you that LSU is a slam dunk to be the number 2 ranked defense in the SEC, number 5 nationally, and allow an average of 11 points per game. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I am saying that when Brian Kelly talks constantly about complementary football and what he needs from both sides of the ball to win field position, to control clock, to score points, to prevent points, and to win games, the defense has got to come up a notch, and the offense has probably got to come up a little bit too. Defense has probably got to come up 3 notches. What I'm telling you is that feels possible. Would I go as far as probable? Maybe not. Possible? Yeah. Reasonable, even? Yeah. And it starts with Whit Weeks, Harold Perkins, Devon Keys in the middle, and then the massive amount of veterans that they brought in up front. And I think that this defense has a chance to be pretty damn good. And Whit Weeks said as much, and it's awesome to get him back. So the guys in the morning doing a great job grabbing some gas. Whit Weeks is really good. If you want to hear his interview, go check it out on demand wherever you find your sound off the bench. They got an LSU channel. You can find it there as well. All right, we got one segment to go. We'll step aside, come back, and do a little bit more before we get out of here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Luba Workers Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Our Rad Dad contest is back and bigger than ever. Roaming Shot Outdoors and Citizens Bank and Trust bring you Dad's favorite gifts ever. A green egg thanks to Goodwood Hardware, a steak pack from Chris's Specialty Foods, manly soap from Hawk Soap, and a hunting class for 2 from Roaming Shot Outdoors. Upload pictures at 1045ESPN.com now through June 8th. Then get your friends and family to vote June 9th through the 12th. Happy Father's Day to all those rad dads out there.
Shout out to the Rad Dads. Again, I'm hoping to be in Omaha for Father's Day.
Yeah,
Not that I want to avoid the family.
No, but from the thing you talked about last segment about you just being on the phone with Myers and watching on the iPad, it doesn't sound very rad to me, hon. It sounds kind of boring.
Let's see. What's the raddest thing I've done?
I mean, I know you like to throw. I know you love to throw BP to Myers for like 4 hours.
I throw a lot of BP. Lot of BP.
You got to be getting pretty good. I mean, at this point.
I mean, I'm an elite
you played
BP
baseball.
pitcher.
You got to be elite.
I mean, we're talking about underhand from about 15 feet away.
Yeah.
But I'm pumping them in there.
You could probably be a good beer league softball pitcher.
He makes me laugh. Sometimes he hits one really good, and that's when he runs the bases.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes he'll hit a little tapper, he'll hit a jam job,
and he's mad,
and he gets a little sad about that.
Yeah.
When he swings and misses, it is a sad state of affairs back there. He doesn't even want to go get the ball. He wants me to go get it. And sometimes
you got to coach him up, Hunt. That's not good for the morale. I mean, if that's how he can't be thinking that way when he starts playing real baseball. If you swing and miss, you got to be okay.
I'm a little concerned about this. T-ball starts next year.
Yeah.
He won't hit off a tee. He only wants me to throw it to him.
Well, he's got to practice that.
Well, I think when everybody else does it, he'll be fine with it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But I think that might be a little bit of a hurdle we're going to have to talk through before we go up to T-ball. We got some time before that.
Yeah, and talking with a 3-year-old is not the easiest thing to do. Explaining something to them, that it's not easy.
As I've said many times, every idea that he has is bad. All of them. Every idea is bad.
Yes.
It's just remarkable. Just completely remarkable. But he's a good kid. Let's do some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
As always, Take It or Leave It brought to you by Yingling Flight, the next generation of light beer. Speaking of generations, you heard there that Yingling's the oldest brewery in America. If you look at About Us on the Yingling page, CEO and owner, Dick Yingling. Chief Administrative Officer, Wendy Yingling. Employee Engagement Culture Manager, Debbie Yingling. Cheryl Yingling, Jennifer Yingling. This is the 6th generation of Yinglings still running the show at Yingling, and they have got the perfect beer for the Louisiana summer. It is Yingling Flight, 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. If you're on the grill, if you're on the golf course, if you're at the pool, if you're tailgating for a super regional, Yingling Flight. You can find it just about wherever you pick up your cold beers. Make Yingling Flight your next beer decision. I certainly am later on this weekend.
Alrighty, first one, Hunt. The Stanley Cup Finals start tonight at 7 p.m. Do you know who's playing in the Stanley Cup Finals?
Of course, that is the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Nope.
And the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
That is wrong on both
Both have been good. I thought that was a good guess.
Yeah, that was an okay guess. But it will be the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers.
I don't even know what city the Florida Panthers play in. I would guess Miami.
It's close to Miami. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Can with those answers, I don't know that you can do this, but can you name one player on either of the teams? Take it or leave it.
The Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers.
I will go ahead and tell you that the Edmonton Oilers have what many consider to be the best player in hockey.
How about
right now.
this? Oh, Connor McDavid.
There you go.
But I wouldn't have gotten that. I wouldn't have known that.
I gave it to you on a silver platter.
I know for sure that Wayne Gretzky played for the Oilers,
Yes.
and that would be the only player in the history of the two franchises that I could name. I could not confidently name anybody who's ever played for either team.
That was what I was expecting, but it should end up being a good series. Actually,
I don't know that I could point to Edmonton on a map.
Yeah.
I know where Toronto is. I know where Vancouver is. I don't know where Edmonton is.
Well, it's kind of in the middle.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of space in between those two, but
there's a lot of space in Canada.
Yeah,
a lot of it's not being used, but there's a lot of space.
All right, next one here. Ohio State coach Ryan Day would like to see future models of the college football playoff include at least 4 automatic qualifying spots for the expanded Big Ten. Take it or leave it.
Leave it.
Leave it
I
alone.
don't need automatic spots for anybody. Let's just pick the teams that get in. I don't even need automatic spots for conference tournament winners in baseball and basketball. Like, it's fine, but like, I don't need to guarantee anybody anything. Let's just work off of merit here. Because we saw giving people stuff last year in the first year, like, didn't work. We had stuff that was completely out of whack. So I understand that, like I said last week, that Ryan Day's job is to go up there and stump for just Ohio State. Not to do what's best for college football. How do I help Ohio State? You help Ohio State by making 4 spots in the Big Ten to make sure you're in the tournament every year. But that's not the best thing to do, so no.
All right, last one here. The Colorado Rockies, Hunt. They swept the Marlins.
Oh,
they won
no.
3 games.
I didn't know that.
And the first series win of the season. They had
Wait, is that right? First series win of the season?
Their first series win of the season.
Oh,
yes,
my
that is
heavens,
correct.
it's June. It is June.
Yes, but the Rockies, they are now, let's see, they were 9-50, so now they're 11, or they're
12 and
50. The Rockies will avoid the worst record in history of MLB. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. I think they're going to get there. They're terrible. They have no signs of getting better. In fact, they're going to get worse. If there's anybody on that roster that can help a contender, they've got to trade them. So they're going to get worse over the next 2 months. And I think they'll be the worst. I watched them play the Cubs, and the Cubs didn't even play worth a flip,
No,
and they
bad.
swept them.
They did.
I mean, and for them, the great stat that was going around that when they were still 9-50, that over the course of like a month and a half, Scheffler had won the same amount of golf tournaments that the Rockies had won baseball games over like a 6-week period,
This was the Rockies' first 3-game sweep since they beat the Padres in May of last year.
I mean, that's just real. Those are big league ball players that can't win a game.
Yeah.
It's just bad. My guy Chris Bryant's there. He doesn't play.
He's hurt. Because I was really hoping to see him in Chicago this the game, but he is hurt. So
I'm not a money manager. I'm not a guy you're going to go to for your hedge fund investment ideas. But that's not a great investment the Rockies made in Chris Bryant. That's a lot of money
really
going out
bad.
and not a lot coming right on back to the Rockies.
Really bad.
That's a bad team, and they need to be paid attention to because I think they're going to be the worst team in the history of baseball.
On the flip side, though, the Detroit Tigers may be one of the best teams in baseball. And by the way, Javier Baez is playing center field nowadays.
Yes, he is.
For the most part. He played third, I think, recently. But, yeah, center field is actually not striking out that much.
The Cubs have the best record in the National League and the best run differential in all of Major League Baseball.
That is correct.
That's what we like to see. They're making me very happy. Just a nice, clean win last night. And it was on the East Coast against the Nationals. So I was able to go to bed early, which I liked.
Yeah,
so
and the Cardinals are finally starting to lose. So
which is good.
That's what we needed.
That's good, no matter if the Cubs are winning or not.
5-game lead in the division for the Cubs right now.
We like that.
Yes.
Oof, I could really go for some October baseball this year.
It's coming, Hunt. It's coming.
I'm in the throes of LSU right now, which is really stressful and really nerve-wracking, even though it's not every night, it's every weekend. But my batteries will be recharged enough after whatever LSU does the next 2 weeks to then deal with that in October.
We're ready. We're this is prime.
Better chance to win the entire thing, LSU baseball or the Cubs?
LSU. I mean, they're already in the Super Regionals. Let's just say before we start the playoffs, I'd probably still take LSU, but it's pretty close, I think, right now for the Cubs. They have, if they can get Shota back and he's healthy, they have a great chance with the way the offense.
Go
is
trade for another pitcher.
Yeah,
with your new contract.
Maybe a third baseman.
Jed. Maybe, but Shaw's playing great.
He's playing good.
He had a great hit last night. Had a big double.
Yeah.
We like that. All right, that's it for Wednesday edition, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. All right, I got a homework assignment tonight. I'm learning everything I can learn about West Virginia baseball. When I come back for tomorrow's show, I'm going to tell you all that stuff. Plus, we'll talk to Joe Healy as well as Luke Johnson from Saints OTAs. Looking forward to it. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review this evening. Everybody have a wonderful Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. We're working toward the weekend. See you tomorrow on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. Talked to my guy Jonathan Carbo yesterday. Doing well. You need to talk to them if you're a business owner about your commercial insurance policy. I know a lot of insurance buyers on the business side just look at that premium page and see who can cut the rate the best, and that's the one we'll go with this year. I would caution you against that, and I would ask that you just let the Highland Insurance Group take a look at your policy, because they're technically experts, and they'll find issues that some brokers will not, and they can fix them with the dozens of markets that they've got contracts with over at the Highland Insurance Group. They're an independent broker. They've got a lot of markets. They can place your insurance with that best coverage, and they can make sure that your price is reasonable as well. The last thing you want to do is spend a lot on premium and have an uncovered loss and have to spend for that too. Contact them online at HighlandIG.com and make sure that entering storm season, you're taken care of. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.